Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What's up, everybody? Welcome on in. It is another edition of JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen. What's up, JJ?
Just hanging out.
That's it?
Hanging out on a Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
I just walked around the building and
Hey, you need me
I
for
saw
something?
you in here and I opened the door. I was like, hey,
You need me for something?
what are you doing right now? And you're like, I'm doing a radio show. And it's like, hey,
Oh, I can do that.
can I do that with you?
Sure.
Here we are.
That's how we hire people.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Come back tomorrow. I know we haven't started the show really officially yet, but come back tomorrow.
Okay.
That'd be great. Listen, we got tons going on today. I don't know if you know this, but the Pac-12 is officially set. Now it's set. The numbers are there. They said we don't want to add or subtract any more teams from this, and this is the way we will be for the rest of eternity. Is that what I'm hearing from this?
Lies.
I'm assuming. Come on.
Erroneous.
This is exactly where they wanted.
I don't know what report you read, Alex, but you are.
We're never
incorrect.
leaving. We're staying together as a conference. So now the Pac-12 is a little bit of a disaster right now, but they'll spin it like everything's amazing because Gonzaga just got added. Is that what we're talking about?
Which conference is worse off right now?
Oh, that's a good question.
Who had a better day, the Pac-12 or the Mountain West? Discuss.
UTEP. I can't tell if, when you start being like,
After
thinking about
UTEP's finally getting the Mountain West after all these years. Congratulations, UTEP.
Look, they're 5 seconds away from being in the Pac-12 if Utah State would have turned them down. What did the way John Canzano put it to Hanson Scotty? Did you hear that? He goes, yeah, Utah State was on the corner with their bags packed, waving the Pac-12 down when they turned back around to see if anybody else was available for the Mountain West. I went, you know what? That's an understandable metaphor right there.
You know what? I'm glad they were because when we had that discussion, when this whole Pac-12 thing broke and the 4 schools were leaving the Mountain West, I told you Utah State has got to make this happen, and congratulations to everybody up there that made it happen. The donors, the people that write the checks came through. And they got it done because where would you rather be today? On the Pac-12 raft or the Mountain West raft?
Yeah.
Who's on safer waters?
I have no idea at this point. To be honest, I actually don't know. I know that it's easy to go, all right, well, you have some Power 4 teams that are already part of it, or some Power 5 teams, were in the old Pac-12. You've got most of the biggest names from the Mountain West, right? If not all. I guess you'd probably be lacking like an Air Force brand, right? That might be one. But even then, you're kind of like, does Air Force really move that needle? Has it really ever moved that needle? There's certainly like a prestige
Nobody
to it.
goes to their games.
Right.
They don't draw on TV.
Right.
Their football team's boring to watch.
And it's actually
their basketball team
It's one
sucks.
thing for Troy Calhoun's team to be boring but beating everybody, but they're boring and they're bad right now.
Right.
So that's also
They lost to Wyoming.
by a lot too, right?
Yeah.
Wyoming's like, we found our offense versus Air Force.
Air Force, what you
We're gonna be
doing?
good. I have no idea. Troy Calhoun, man, that guy has been nothing but steady, and I'm just wondering what that's looking like. But all the things that we have in this weird salad of college football developments are just going to get more intense and more weird and more complicated and more stressful for some of these smaller schools. And right now we're in an interesting spot where everything's for the bigger schools, people who are already in the P4s, they are right now there's a calm, right? Because there doesn't have to be any movement currently. But in the next couple of years, so they have this like little moment where they tell themselves that everything's good. And if you're an administrator and you're not making adjustments for whatever's going to be on the horizon in 2 or 3 years, you're not doing your job, you should be fired. There is a Super League coming. There is a lot on the docket for what the future of college football looks like. I don't know if I like it, but if we want to keep watching it, there's going to be a different version of it, all right? So our program brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. We have baseball playoffs coming up in the studio here
Right now.
I am
about to get underway.
Got the Brewers and the Mets.
We suddenly care about baseball again. I
told you
love postseason baseball.
Oh, the Astros are losing. That's real tough for
Wah.
Jeremy. Yeah.
Wah.
I'm not gonna give you a score update if they're winning. I'll only give a score update when they lose. 3-0. How much? Where they at? What? 8th inning? 9th inning?
Dude,
Wow,
the
it's a
Tigers
shame.
are a great story. Nobody wants to see the Astros win. Nobody.
And everybody and the Detroit Tigers are basically the same version of the Lions that they have in Detroit, where it's like you're not used to that team doing anything. Have the Tigers won the World Series in your lifetime?
Yes, 1984.
84. Barely in my lifetime. Okay?
Jack Morris,
That's right.
Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell. That's how old I am.
That you are old. You know what?
Who was their manager? Sparky Anderson.
Sparky Anderson.
Who looked like he was 80 when he was 40.
Right. And he's still with us, right?
Is he still with us?
I'm asking because he usually smoked about 4 packs a game.
He died 14 years ago.
I want to extend my apologies to the Anderson family.
Do you know how old he was when they won that World Series?
61.
No.
What?
He was 50.
What?
He was only 3 years older than me. And he looked like he was someone's great-grandfather.
That's crazy. Wait,
Here he is, right? Look, he's smoking a pipe in the dugout.
He moved to the pipe. Okay, so did him and Jim Leland share, would they light each other up with the other guy's cigarette? These guys, man. Baseball, we hardly knew ye.
Leland liked the lung darts.
Yes, he did.
Sparky was a pipe guy.
He was a pipe man.
What happened? We don't have managers. I don't even know if they chew anymore.
I think that the only person who
That's
chews
good, by the way.
is Bryce Harper, and it's that fake chew. You know what I'm talking about? He's like, that's why I choose
the beef jerky.
grass. It's all 100% just right out of a pasture.
When I was a kid, we used to buy the beef jerky that came in the round thing, which is crazy. They used to market to kids.
Well, what's crazy
something
is
that looked like
Big
Skull.
League Chew is still a thing. It comes in I think the same package
Yes,
from
it
Red
does.
Man is made by the same factory that makes the Big League Chew packages. And what'd you do? You'd take strings of it, put it in your mouth like you were chewing tobacco, roll it up.
It was actually in strips
roll
like
it up.
tobacco.
Yes, roll it up, put it in your back
but
pocket.
it was pink.
But it's for the kids. All right?
Times have changed.
Times have changed. College football, baseball, all of it. And nothing more ridiculously quickly than college football. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars, as I said. And also, we're going to kick off the show with the cut. Let's jump in right here. We've got tons more to break down here, so let's do it.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It feels like the amount of work that's going to have to go into making a Super League on paper, it just sounds like too much work to me. It just makes me nuts trying to figure out, shifting everything around, trying to figure out what the future of it looks like. But college football and a quote-unquote Super League, the New York Times busted this thing out today where they talked about a college football Super League and a college student football league. Okay? College Student Football League. Doesn't that sound like something that they made in Sega 1997? It's the College Student Football League. Now, I know what they're trying to do here, and that is maintain the ability to still be that pipeline to the NFL. You can't get kids to come play for your team if you don't have a way to offer them, aside from NIL money, the ability to go on to the next level. When you ask Coach Kalani Sitake, when you ask Coach Kyle Whittingham, when they sit down in young men's houses, what is the most important thing to most of them? It's not a degree. What is it? And it's probably been supplanted maybe a little bit because there are more players who are capable of winning, of actually making NIL money, JJ. In a weird way, we have this funny market where we'll pay tons of money for that marketable college player, and we know that he's not going to be a good NFL player. But then there are the NFL guys. When they sit down with those guys in their houses and they recruit them, they have to be able to tell them, I'm going to get you to the NFL. Everything is going to be surrounding TV revenue, number one, okay? And then the second thing is going to be, can you still supply the NFL with enough talent to make that still the most important league in America when it comes to professional sports. Because the NFL should be vested wholly. They should absolutely be, making sure that some version of a pipeline can come to what is the most developmental league for the NFL. It's always been college. And they've got to make sure, if you're the NFL, you do everything you can to make sure that you can keep that pipeline going. And a super league, and whether or not it's going to be something that works or not, executives and administrators announced today a single super league that they would have to look at and they would have to reorganize. It would be 136 football subdivision teams, bowl subdivision, that's your FBS, into 2 conferences. The top 72 programs, mostly the current Power 5s and 4s, would be, hey, New York Times, you guys are behind the times. It's Power 4 now. It's really Power 3.5. To try to compete in this Power 12 conference made up of a dozen 6-team geography-based divisions. Okay? Hey, we're back to geography, JJ. We're back to teams who are going to be right by each other.
Super.
But what we're looking at that's going to make it different is the idea of an up and down. Think of the pyramid that they have in the English soccer leagues and all across the world, really. But like the Premier League or the professional leagues in Europe, you have that very, very top tier, and then everybody else who's fighting to get to that top tier. And then relegation becomes a part of it. How on earth? And right now, I don't know how long. When does the next TV contract come up?
They stagger. There's several different.
Right, because
we're talking about the college football playoff contract.
Is until 32 or something like that. 31, 32.
Different conferences have different times when their contract comes up. Like the big problem with the ACC right now is their grant of rights runs until 34.
Yes.
So that league's got their TV contract that runs until 34, which is good for them because they have stability.
Right.
But some teams in that conference, like Florida State and Clemson, are frustrated by the stability because they want to get out.
Right.
But you have other leagues like the Mountain West and the Pac-12 right now. This whole situation with them, these contracts are up in 26. So there's some negotiate. This is what that big fight is all about, is they're trying to position themselves to get the money, and only one's probably going to get what they want.
Right.
So
what you have is you would have 2 divisions, essentially, an East and a West, or just 2 divisions in this 72 schools. If it's 72 schools, then BYU and Utah are in, right? That will never be a question. Where you start to get into the weird numbers is if it's 48. You know what I mean, JJ? Like,
yeah, well,
48 gets a little confusing.
And we're talking about this right now. I'll let you talk about this, but I can tell you later what I think is actually going to happen.
Okay.
And I don't think we're going to like that.
So I think that anybody who sees their team's logo in a proposed future of what college football looks like, they love it. They go, yes, this is the one I want.
Of course. Because
they don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be that team that's left in the lurch. So you have, for example, East, Mid-East, these are all separate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-team conferences, okay? 6-team conferences, all right? You've got East, Mid-East, Great Lakes, Midwest, Carolinas, Mid-South, Southeast, South, Plains, Texas, Southwest, and the West, okay? Any guesses where BYU and Utah land? It's in the same conference. It would be, according to this, proposal, or at least this projection of what it would look like, BYU, Oregon, Oregon State, Utah, Washington, Washington State. The Southwest would be Arizona, Arizona State, Cal, Stanford, UCLA, USC. Okay? So we'd go back to this, and again, that's just for us here regionally. I love how Texas has its own thing. You basically have the old Big 8, or like a Big 6 almost. Colorado, Kansas, Kansas State, Missouri, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. Where'd they put Nebraska then? Oh, in the Midwest. Okay. Well, that was a missed opportunity right there. They could have bagged Missouri and put Nebraska in there. But I digress. Everyone's going to have problems with all this stuff. In the end, JJ, 6 teams in your conference, then the rest of your schedule would be made up of teams from within your, however they split up the 2 big conferences. Because with 72, what's 72 and a half? Anybody know?
36. 36
and 36. And so your schedule will be made up of 6 teams that around the teams that you play immediately, so a 5 team.
Have 5 teams in division,
And then you would have, outside of that, a way to be able to, inside of your conference, do a couple. And then you would have the opportunity for one or two outside of even that conference. And I don't know if that means that the Group of 8 conference, the other 64 schools, your Nevadas, Hawaii's, Boise State even is in the group of 8, 64 schools. That seems like it wouldn't happen. But there is going to be a line that's divided, JJ, that people aren't going to like. I'm going to say it right now. I actually love this idea. I love relegation as an idea. However we can start introducing it, however we can rip that Band-Aid off, if you can have 72 schools and 2 separate divisions, but the reality is you still have them geographically, lined up against one another, and they're playing big teams, and it's still every weekend, then what's the problem? Whatever we call it, Jeremy has a problem. What is it?
The teams in the 72 can't drop down.
So they already determined that those 72 are always going to stay.
But they can move up, but they can't drop down.
Where do you move up from 72?
They said teams from the 64 can move up.
Okay. So then it's going to end up being like an 80-team conference every year?
But Vanderbilt can always take and cash that $80 million a year check.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Now, I don't know how you're going to keep adding teams in there and then not subtracting any teams. But yes, they can figure that out. Okay? What I love about this is the idea that if teams are good in the lower divisions, bring them up. Let's give them a shot. And you're going to have bad teams in these. All right? I don't know what the reality of the future looks like, but making these conferences and these big schools all marry into conferences that are geographically making sense, until that happens, we're living in this weird hodgepodge of just TV executives deciding when you're going to watch football games and laughing at you while you do it, Stanford fans, or the other way around, Florida State fans when you're having to come out to play Cal. So, in my mind, I like this. I want to see, look, there's a million schools. There's a million schools, JJ. I like this. I love it. Please do it. Do it as fast as you can. Blow up all the TV contracts and do it next year so that you can just get this thing going. Because if you're going to drag your feet on all this, you're going to have an executive or an administrator at every school at any given time who are going to be pissed about how they didn't get invited or that they don't want to play that team. They don't really like them that much, and they don't think that they should be in the same league with them. I don't care. Bring some groups together, and if you're going to be a part of it, great. If not, then you're gone. You're in the group of 8, 64 teams, and we'll put you there.
This will never happen.
Why?
Forwards. Well,
there's some hyphens in there.
4 entities.
Okay.
4 entities.
What are they?
Big Ten.
Got it.
SEC.
Okay.
ESPN. Fox.
Okay.
Why would they want to blow everything up and do this? Why would the SEC and the Big Ten want to give up their power and dissolve and disappear and go away?
Why would it take away from their ability to be able to still be the highest rated TV?
There would no longer be an SEC. There would no longer be a Big Ten. Why do they need to do this? Why don't they just break off and form their own super conference?
Yeah, but here's the thing: is which
is what I think is going to happen.
The old college football.
It's not going to be this. It's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC going, okay, this is for the betterment of college football. We don't want the NCAA. Can't do this alone. We can partner to do this. Let's break off and just form our own super conference where we don't have to deal with the NCAA anymore.
And you don't think any other teams would be a part of that?
No.
Everybody else would be
only if they want to invite them, and they will only invite them if they think it gives them more value.
More value.
Why would they want to invite more people to get more money? They don't want to split the pie.
Who drives this conversation more than, out of the 4 people you just mentioned, who drives the conversation more?
ESPN and Fox.
Okay.
Because they're paying the bills.
So we have hope. Because the
Why
Big
would
Ten,
they want to do this?
Because the Big Ten and the SEC, they are great TV watching, absolutely.
But they don't have the rights for all of this.
1,000%. 1,000%.
This doesn't benefit ESPN or Fox. ESPN and Fox benefit by the SEC and Big Ten becoming more powerful. How many times has ESPN College Game Day gone to a non-SEC site this year? I'm waiting.
They're going to Cal?
When?
That's when they break the seal on that thing?
Okay, that's one.
Why? Are Cal and Stanford playing or something? What's the deal?
And isn't ACC under the ESPN umbrella? Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay. But see, this is what I'm saying.
They're not going to Montana anymore like they
But
did,
if
or they're
there
not
is
going to go to
better-
Fargo again.
Yeah,
They're
but
not going to
listen.
do that ever again.
If there is more value, if they're able to say, hey, you know what? We would love to have a Baylor, SMU, TCU, Arizona State, Utah, BYU,
Okay.
Oregon State. Like
How
those would add
ESPN
value.
and Fox convince the SEC and the Big Ten to give up their name and their branding and become this?
Because the branding is really just going to be the TV providers who say, hey, we want a bigger piece of this, and the way we're going to really monopolize all of this is by adding more teams to both of your conferences, and we will pay out. You have no idea how much money we're willing to pay you guys. You're not going to lose out on any of your money. You make it a merit-based earning system, right? Okay? So Vanderbilt and Louisville, Vanderbilt and your Rutgers and your
I would
and
be
your
afraid
Purdue's.
if I were those schools.
Yeah, you should be. And really, what
There's
you do
nothing
is
stopping the Big
maybe
Ten
the
or the
relegation.
SEC from
Maybe the
saying,
relegation.
so long, Vanderbilt.
Maybe the relegation really is a money relegation. It's less about whether or not like
I
you're.
think the relegation's going to happen naturally. I think the Big Ten and the SEC are going to do this. It's just a matter of if, not when, or when, not if.
When you say
and
do
then
this,
it's a
do you
matter
mean-
of who do they invite along with them.
Okay. So what's a reality of a number? Because what does the Big Ten have? 18, and the SEC's got 16, or is it the other way around? Which one's which? So one of them has 18,
You're
one of
right.
them has 16.
That's correct.
So that's 34 teams. What's a number? Is it 48? Is
Well,
it 64?
34 is fine because where's the NFL?
32.
Right. So instead of 16, you just split it up into 17. And you form divisions, and you do similar to a scheduling round robin, similar to the NFL.
So you're saying that they
But
could
it's
add
for
0
12 regular
teams.
season games
They
instead
could
of
add
17.
0 teams and be fine.
100%. They could give some teams the boot and pull from the Big 12, the ACC, whoever else,
Yeah.
based on what those schools get ratings-wise from the games they've played, to replace the teams that don't get the ratings.
Yeah. But see, there's value in a Clemson, a Duke, a North Carolina,
All of those, yeah, absolutely. They're valuable properties.
Utah, BYU.
So what?
I guess we'll see
Again,
in the
Would the Big
group
Ten
of 8
say, you know what,
conferences.
Maryland and Rutgers, we'd rather take North Carolina and Duke. Thanks
All right.
for
so you're
joining
saying
us.
so you're saying this is what a central division would look like in the group of 8 conferences. Utah, BYU, Colorado State, New Mexico State. Does this sound familiar?
Right.
Minus New Mexico State. UTEP, UTSA, Wyoming. The poor man's Mountain West is back again, baby. I don't know how you're going to improve for schools like BYU that deserve, or Utah that deserve to be in that conversation. Why would they leave them out if they continually draw for television in their time zone?
That's the thing that would give them hope, is like all of a sudden it becomes like a beauty pageant. Pick me, like it was in 2011 and like it was recently.
Yeah.
When we just saw it with the Big 12 and with the Big 10 and all these.
Well, and with the Pac-12
Oregon
and all these other teams.
Oregon and Washington, as great as they are, took half the amount of money as the other teams in the Big 10. Pick me.
Yeah.
Those are big time programs. Oregon's funded by Nike, and they were still like, pick me. This is how it's going to be.
So
the Big Ten and the SEC hold the power. What is the Big Ten and the SEC going to do right now? They want 4 auto bids. Mm-hmm. 4 auto bids to the playoff. 4 each. Just what we've been talked about. We put these scenarios together. The idea that this provides more access, yes, it does, but it fattens the pockets of the SEC and the Big Ten, because just by the way things are set up, they're going to get more teams in, so they're going to get more money, and they're going to become more powerful. The SEC and the Big Ten, the train's left the station. They get to decide. They get to run the show along with the help of ESPN and Fox. Fox for the Big Ten, SEC with ESPN. And then obviously ESPN and Fox have ties to the other conferences. They can pick and choose and decide how they want this to look.
You're so cynical, JJ. They got very creative this last time around with the restructuring of what the Big 12 or what the Big 10 and the SEC look like. They were additive. Sorry to use a Brett Yormark term.
They were only additive because there was benefit, and the additive was the fact that Oregon and Washington were willing to do it for less.
Take a pay cut? Yeah. All right, let's take a break. Methinks that we will have this discussion in the future again.
It's a matter of time. A super conference is a matter of time, but who is in power and who decides what that is the debate.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. At the top of next hour, you may have heard that we did get an early scoop on the Connor Pay injury and what he's going to be dealing with, BYU center. He wants to return for that Utah game. Played a chunk of that. We had a chunk of that audio as well. You can go to KSLSports.com. You can see that. The interview in its entirety, though, the full interview is going to be available at about 4 o'clock. We're gonna play that for you. Everything that Connor Pay said about his the injury, everything that happened in that game, where the team is at, what his role is going to be now as he waits to get better, and all of that. That's going to be coming up at 4 o'clock as part of our Players Club. We'll come right back. More to go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
JJ and I just reveling in the postseason look that Jake Rogers, the Detroit Tigers catcher, is going with. By the way, spoiler alert, the Tigers were up 3-0 going into the ninth inning against the Astros. Astros get a run, put all three guys on base, and then a line out to the first baseman of the Tigers. So the Tigers steal game one.
Oh, the drama, though. That was great.
That was awesome. The Tigers steal game one down in Houston. The Tigers, they're not used to this. Now, the Houston Astros, they're used to this type of stuff. Lots of pressure in that building for a long, long time, every postseason, it seems like. But Jake Rogers looks like he was cast in this role for like a Kevin Costner movie, it's like a Bull Durham reboot or something. You know what I mean? He has this massive stash that BYU players try to pull off and they can't. Because that is a mustache. That is a man's mustache. He looks like he's straight out of the 1970s.
He looks like Wilford Brimley in Cocoon.
He does. He looks like Wilford Brimley. Like, you're right. And I think that somebody looked it up and it was like when Wilford Brimley did Cocoon, he was like 46 or something like that. And we were like, everyone's like, oh. He looks like we start approaching that age and we go, holy cow. I'm older than Elton.
He was 49 years old, and one of the funny things is online they'll pull up a celebrity that looks really young for their age, and it's the Wilford Brimley line, right?
Right.
Where when they turn 49 and almost turn 50, like there's this line of demarcation for
a weird crossover.
Wilford Brimley's age of Cocoon, and they've done like a lot of famous celebrities, and you find out what was wrong with Wilford Brimley. Oh, it was the Beatus.
The Beatus.
Yeah, so that guy looks like he has the Beatus.
The catcher for the Tigers?
Yeah, he might want to get that checked.
Tigers, game one in the books.
He's got the sugars.
They got they're up 1-0 in a best of 3 series now that they do. They don't have to just play the one and done and be over with.
Which is
probably better.
The right thing to do.
You go 162 games, you get into the playoffs, and they go, sorry, kid, your run's over. We only played 1 game. Yep.
It was pretty dramatic when MLB was doing it, but this is the more fair thing.
Yeah. And more, look, you get an upset of the Houston Astros on television. Love it. Let's keep it going. All right. Nominate your U Sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. The way you do it, you submit that nomination on KSLSports.com/contest. Every Thursday, JJ and I read those winners off. Help us celebrate the efforts of those youth sports volunteers that make an impact with the community with the Hercules Hero of the Week. It's sponsored by Hercules First Credit Union and Beehive Meals. There you go. Realignment discussion. Gonzaga is officially going to be headed to the Pac-12. The league still needs to get to 8 full football members, of course. So I don't know what type of move that you make with a move like Gonzaga going over to the Pac-12. But guess what? Just on its face, my reaction to Gonzaga going to the Pac-12 is Gonzaga is going to come down and play in Logan once a year.
Isn't that great?
That's pretty darn cool.
That is.
And
we remember how fun. Well, BYU fans didn't think it was very fun, but from a love of competition standpoint, the fact that BYU would play Gonzaga twice a year was a thrill. That Gonzaga during that time was a national title contender, And BYU got them a few times,
Yeah.
which was great for BYU's basketball program.
So out of the teams that went to the NCAA tournament from the Mountain West, which was what, they had 6 bids, right? This year?
Yes.
Something insane like that.
Yeah.
Utah State, I'm saying in the Pac-12.
Yeah, Fresno State, I think, is the only team that didn't make it. And Washington State did. Oregon State did not. But remember, Oregon State was in the Elite Eight just 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So Washington State was in the tournament last year. 4 of the 5 new Mountain West teams and Gonzaga. So that's 4 or 5. That would be 6 teams in that league made the NCAA tournament just this past season.
Yes. And by the way, like it's going to be like
San Diego State was in a national championship game 2 years ago.
the year before. Yeah.
It's a great basketball league.
There you go. Now, the question is what happens with the football side of things? Now, this is where it gets messy and weird and a little bit embarrassing. UTEP is apparently joining the Mountain West. Texas State has been in that conversation. Tarleton State has been in that conversation. Texas State's an FBS school, though, already, right? Tarleton's not. They'd have
Correct.
to pay the dollars, right, to be able
It's now
to
$5 million to make the move from FCS to FBS.
Why'd they do that? Just to
to
make
prevent
it harder?
more teams from doing it because too many schools were doing this that had no business doing it, like Texas State.
Right. A bunch of people going.
Look,
we're
I know
like, we're
that
like
Texas
App
State and UTSA have been pretty competitive, but what are we doing here?
So
Georgia Southern?
Sac State, also an FCS school, has raised
Not
$35
anymore.
million. I know. Has raised $35 million in just 24 hours to put their hat in the ring to say, hey, we're a worthy contender to be in the Pac-12. So NIL money on top of the FCS, purchasing or to be able to buy yourself into the FBS realm as an FCS school. Sac State might be in the Pac-12. UTEP is joining the Mountain West, and maybe Texas State. Like I said, Tarleton was also part of that discussion. So I don't know what these conferences are going to look like, but obviously Gloria Navarez is looking around going, we do need to add somebody for football purposes. We do need to bring somebody in. Sac State, you may not have thought 5 years ago that you were a Pac-12 brand ever, but welcome to the Pac-12 if that's the case. Does this improve these conferences just by the sake of them not folding because they have 8 teams now? Does Sac State being in the Pac-12 sound remotely like something that's normal?
So I think no, but where else are they going to go? B, Sacramento is a top 20 TV market in the country. And it's in the shadow of the Bay Area, but there's a lot of eyeballs there. And look, I know that just because geographically they're there doesn't mean you guarantee those eyeballs, but that's what they're paying attention to. There's a reason why Rutgers is in the Big Ten. Or, yes, the Big Ten.
Yes.
I mean, it shouldn't be. It has no business there competitively, but it's in the New York City market. It's in the largest TV market in the country. And it's one of the only FBS teams in that market. So they might be looking at this. If the Pac-12 has interest in this, if Sac State is able to do this, they could be propping. It's just like with Utah State can pitch that they're in the Salt Lake City TV market. That has some pull, right? And Utah State had the 5th best TV ratings in the Mountain West. And guess what? The top 5 teams have left to go into the Pac-12. That's pretty significant.
You know what's hilarious is the Pac-12 is immediately a better basketball conference than the old Pac-12 was, right? Like,
Sort of.
I mean, they don't have the brand names like.
As of right now, today, with the amount of NCAA tournament teams you have in your league, yes.
Right. Now, again, TV-wise, which is the thing that matters the most, it's not as sexy to pitch a team out of Logan as it is to pitch a team out of Eugene, Oregon, right? Or out of, Palo Alto, California. But Gonzaga, San Diego State, Boise State, Utah State, on top of your Washington State and Oregon State, those are competitive basketball schools. And that'll be a great watch on television to see San Diego State and Gonzaga going at it every year. Boise State, Gonzaga, Utah State, Gonzaga. All right, we got to take a break. Sac State, $35 million. Where do these people come up with this? Is it one guy? Was he? Oh,
I just told you.
Hold on.
This is Sacramento. There's a lot of money there.
Nah.
That too.
Jeremy said that there was did you say there was a tribe there that
Yes, there is.
a casino that's jumping in on this? Oh, hold on. Elon Musk was a Sac State guy, right? No, probably not. What's their mascot?
The Hornets.
I love how you said that like we all actually knew that. Come on.
You could have said whatever, and I would have said yes.
I
You know how
would've
many
said, of
times
course.
I've done a Weber State, Sac State highlight in the 20
I know,
years I've been
but I'm
doing
just saying,
TV?
I just know that
Yeah, I
Sac
know.
State need to be the Cyclones. They need it because they have that swirly S. And Cyclone is spelled with a C. I get it. But I'm just saying, you've got the Tulsa are the Hurricanes, and they're in the middle of the gosh dang United States.
Golden Hurricane. It's wheat.
It makes it sound
Right?
it makes it sound like somebody had a tinkle.
They're the Golden Hurricane, not Hurricanes.
It's the Golden Hurricane.
It's
Yeah.
just wheat.
No, it is not.
It is.
When you go to their stadium, they play the Hurricane horns, and then they have the Hurricane flags up in the building. Not because wheat's going to attack you, but they're in Tornado Alley. Let it be known. I'm glad we had this discussion. See, Sac State, you need to get your crap together. All right.
They used to be the Golden Tornadoes, by the way. Tulsa did.
That's way better. They need
I
to be.
agree. Why did they change it?
Stupid. Somebody got a hold of it. There's some guy who already had the name Golden Tornado on his like baseball team or something. Sued the university or I don't know. All right, we got a Would You Rather around the corner when we come back. And at 4 o'clock, like I said, you're going to be able to hear that conversation with Connor Pay, BYU's offensive center and offensive captain, on what his injury outlook looks like. He tells us exactly how long the timeline that the doctors had told him it's going to be. We're crossing our fingers for that, and exactly what the injury was as well. So refreshing, be able to hear what an actual injury is and how long they're anticipating him being out. So stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Happy October, everybody. Perfect for baseball. October just fired up. Day number 1 of the month, and baseball playoffs are underway. You already had was it the 3-seeded Houston Astros? Is that it was the 3-seed, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Because they
won the
Tigers
division.
the Tigers were the 6th seed, and they just defeated Houston in Game 1 in the best of 3 series. That's always nice. But yeah, baseball's underway. Like I said, I don't know what postseason is 100 times better than their regular season. Stanley Cup playoffs are like on a different level.
Yes.
But baseball is one where it's like, don't call me till the division. The division.
I think baseball is above all because there's just so, like, it's nice to go to the ballpark, but none of us are like, I must. Is there ever a game in July that you're like, oh, we got to watch this?
It's almost like we're celebrating that it's coming to an end. We're like, oh, the playoffs, thank heavens. That means baseball's almost over.
Outside of the Yankees and Red Sox, is there a rivalry in baseball that comes top of mind? Maybe it's Giants-Dodgers that's like must-see TV? No. So, yeah, the baseball regular season is just a slog. If you live in those markets, you'd love to go to the ballpark and enjoy the game. But like from a national perspective, no one's watching these games until it gets to the postseason. And at that point, we're locked in, like you and I and Jeremy right now. We were like locked into that Tigers Astros game. That was great drama. That's great theater because now something's on the line. In the regular season, you lose a game. So what? You play tomorrow. That's not the case anymore. It's fun.
Yeah, I am. I'm one of those guys that baseball still has enough romanticism in it for me this time of year. Where I
love
go,
the postseason.
It's awesome. And again, when you watch these guys, you're like, dang, these guys are actually really good.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
World Series, Game 7, NBA Game 7.
Oh, boy.
You know what?
NBA.
I already know it. No freaking way.
NBA.
It's the World Series Game 7.
How many tickets are available to an MLB Game 7? How many tickets are available to an NBA Game 7?
That's not fair because when it's the Diamondbacks, then yes. Okay? I get it. But if it's, the if it's the Red Sox, taking on the Cubs, Game 7 in the World Series, then that's a way bigger ticket than a Game 7 Lakers.
We never got to a
Knicks.
Game 7 last year, though, so we don't know.
I think Lakers Knicks in a championship versus the Red Sox and the Cubs in a championship. I would take the Red Sox Cubs all day long. Or how about Lakers Celtics? Lakers Celtics
is the rivalry that would really move the
I
needle.
said the Knicks just because it's in the biggest TV market and they never go anywhere. So, all right, that's my thought. That was my thought. All right.
Well, when the Arizona Diamondbacks move to Utah, we'll find out.
I can't wait. Do you think there'll ever be an empty seat in that place for the first? It'd be like In-N-Out when it comes here. The In-N-Out in Centerville has been open for, 10, 12 years. There's never been anything more. There's never been anything less than 48 cars waiting at any given time. At any given time. All right. We're going to take the break here. We'll come back. Hey, join Hans and Scotty on Thursday, noon to 3. They're going to be at Sound Sleep Medical, 8941 South, 7th East in Sandy. We'll come back. We've got more to go. You can hear that conversation with Connor Pay, BYU's offensive lineman, the anchor of that offense, the captain of the offense. Injured. He talks about his injury at length and how he plans on coming back and what the doctors are saying. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.